Hi everyone, as you can tell from the title, this is going to be a review on the Sigma travel set in pink, the Nice in Pink, which is this one here. I'm not affiliated with Sigma, but Sigma did send this brush set to me for review purposes, and I've been using it now for 4 weeks, so to really see how these brushes held up in comparison to my other types of brushes, which I'll be mentioning. I've also purchased brushes myself from Sigma. I'll do a separate post on those ones, which I will put a link to below as well. Inside, everything was wrapped nicely in this pink tissue. Inside that, you actually had the products were in these beautiful little bags here, tie bags. Obviously got the travel set. Also got some cleaning instructions in there. Also the Nice and Pink pamphlet, and it just basically lists all the brushes that are inside the actual set. Now this is the old numbering. They used to be numbered obviously SS and the actual number, which did seem to correlate to the MAC brushes. Now they have renumbered the brushes. Now we've got F for face brushes, E is the letter for obviously eye brushes, and all these ones are numbered accordingly. Also get a free gift, comes in a separate little bag. And for this one, got the foundation brush. I actually just pop it in here. So this doesn't come with the travel set, it was just the actual gift with purchase, but obviously I was sent this as well. It's a foundation brush, and that's the F60 foundation brush. That's basically how it was all sort of packaged. So again, really nice if someone was receiving it as a gift. Deep clean that I did first before I used them. I was just following what it actually has on here. Just recommends cleaning them, etc. So I actually did that. Now I do admit the first one, the face brush, this did bleed when I first washed it. I've washed them 4 times since, and I've just obviously dried them face down on a towel. Now to the actual brushes themselves. Now again, obviously in this little pink roll here, and it's obviously just got the magnet clasp there. Inside you've got an extra zip, and like I said, that's where I keep that spare foundation brush, or obviously any other brushes you want to travel with. Now as far as the travel set go, you got a fair amount of brushes. Obviously got 7 brushes there. These ones are stamped with Sigma, got the details of the brush USA, but they're actually got made in PRC, which actually stands for People's Republic of China. I actually really do like the qualities of these eye brushes. Now the brushes themselves. The first one, the Fibre F50. Now I really had big hopes for this one because I love stippling brushes, or I call them stippling brushes or fibre brushes. I have 2 in this professional range by Manicure. I've never had a desire to get the MAC version of the stippling brush because it is so expensive here. It's fairly similar. Barely a difference in the actual sort of length. Nice and light, nice solid sort of little clasp there. The only real difference is this being, I suppose, the mini or travel version of the Fibre that Sigma stock, is that it is not very dense in comparison to this one, which is again the full size version by RT. Actually quite nice. Took me a couple of weeks to actually get used to it because I really do love mousse foundations, but I wanted to try this with my mousse liquid foundations, and not quite as dense, so it felt like I was sort of working a little bit harder to sort of apply the product. It's all very nice. This is a blend of natural and synthetic fibres. Now washing it, like I said, I washed them before I actually used them, and this did bleed. Didn't bleed a lot, but it did, obviously the black did bleed a little bit as well, and it bled up until the 3rd time that I actually washed it. Now, washed it the first time, used them for a week, washed them again. I also spot clean them every day or every time that I use them, and then like I said, just a gentle shampoo, baby shampoo, or the e.l.f. cleanser. Shed a little bit as well. I noticed the white and also the black bristles fell out a little bit. I didn't get a lot in my actual product though, which was actually good. I also like to use brush guards, for example, just around them to keep their shape. First time I washed it, I didn't use the brush guard, but I didn't find it did too much. Now the next one is the large angle contour, the F40. Oops. Now I would compare this one to probably the few other angled ones that I own. You would have seen me mention this before. I've got 2 of these, which are the Artist Professional ones, again the angled contour brush. I also have a Scandal one as well. I was actually quite surprised with this one because it actually feels a lot softer than my Artist one and also the Scandal one. And these are actually natural bristles. I was also a little bit worried too, being white. I thought I would really stain because for these I usually use them for blush or bronzer. But I found even though I've been spot cleaning them every time and cleaning them every week, it's actually kept quite white, or it's actually cream. It's quite a creamy off-white in person. First time I watched it though, I did notice that it bloomed out a lot, so basically sort of ended up like this. I've noticed since I've been leaving the brush guard on it when it's been in the roll, it's actually kept its nice little shape. So I probably recommend that for people if you are washing it every week, if you are using it all the time. The one is the F30 large powder brush. Now again, I'm not sure, I think the old numbering system used to be the SS150. I suppose it would be comparable to a 150 by MAC. I don't have any of those ones. The ones I would compare it to are any of the large sort of powder brushes that I have. I've got e.l.f. Again, that's more clipped. Something like maybe more of the bronzer brushes or face brushes by Sports Girl. Those units, various other sort of brushes like Eco Tools or Nude Minerals, etc. Now this one has natural bristles and it is very soft as well. I found it just as good as the Eco Tools one to apply blusher or bronzer. Obviously the powdered ones. Also used it to apply my loose powder. Now because I have mainly mineral powders, I do find it best to apply them with a really dense sort of brush. I found this wasn't quite as dense to sort of get or blend the mineral powder in. But I did actually love it to apply my e.l.f. Perfection and Complexion or my HD powders. I've got the Australis one or the e.l.f. one as well. And just apply it sort of just lightly over. So I actually really did like it for that as well. Now, when I first washed it, it did bleed quite a bit. So I was a little bit worried about it and did have a little bit of fallout. I also had to leave the brush guard on it to try and keep the shape by the second time I washed it. Again, it bled a little bit, not as much the first time. The second time that I washed it. Third time that I washed it, bled a little bit. By the fourth time, it seemed to have stopped bleeding. Otherwise, it probably just sort of ran clear very quickly in the water. But I was very happy to see by the fourth time that I washed it, it sort of stopped bleeding. Still had a little bit of bristle fallout though. But overall, with the brush guard and cleaning it and spot cleaning it, seems to be just as good as new. Now into its fourth, or actually fifth week. On to the next brushes. Now, I love eye brushes. I really love eye brushes, but I have nothing like this one, which is the Tapered E40. It's very soft. It's natural bristles. I think it was originally the SS224, but when I first sort of got it out of the pack, I thought that's going to be way too big to sort of blend or do anything around my eye. But I was actually quite pleasantly surprised that it's actually been really good. It's really not very dense, very soft bristles, and actually quite good just to sort of blend very lightly. I'm not actually mixing the colours. I just want to sort of blend or soften out the lines in between my brow and my lid colour, and it's actually been really nice. And actually when I first washed it, it didn't actually bleed, which I was quite surprised by. Not that there's many bristles to actually wash anyway. Also had a little bit of fallout. I still get a couple every now and again from the very edges, but it's still very densely packed. I'll be keen to see how these actually hold up over the next sort of year. But the first month in, very happy with it. And that's something that I really want to just sort of use every day, keep using every day. I don't want to sort of wait till I'm traveling. The next one is the E55, which I think was the SS239 previously. This is a really nice eye shading or eyeshadow brush. Very soft. Now what are these? Natural bristles. Very comparable to most of my other sort of brushes that I have. The ones that I have that are sort of similar in style to this is like, for example, the e.l.f. brush, Bella Pierre, got a little mini MAC travel one, which is obviously the large one, and the Artiste Professional one. Now these are a little bit larger in comparison. But I really actually do like the quality of this. This did not bleed when I washed it the first time. There wasn't much to wash again. Did have a little bit of fallout, but this time from the center of the bristles. But I haven't seemed to have any issues with much shedding when I'm applying anything. And applies it just as well, sort of in the center of the lid. You can also use this to blend as well. A very, very nice little brush. Another one which I actually quite like is the Concealer F70 brush. I think this was the SS194 previously. And this is synthetic. Now most of the concealer ones that I have are Cosmetica, his professional range. And this is just as good. I actually quite like it, probably prefer it to some of these, a little bit more squat. Whereas this one's a little bit longer. And I feel I get a little bit more control when I'm using it under my eye area because I just want to dab it and blend it very, very lightly around my nose area, or I might use a point concealer. So I was actually quite happy with that one. I had no bleeding issues with this one, and I've had actually, I have noticed any sort of fallout of the bristles. I'm sure that there has been, but I haven't seen it. They're quite small and quite lightly coloured. So I really do like that one. The next one is the E30, I think was previously the SS219, and this is Natural Bristles. Now this one I'd probably use for my crease colour, so I have used it to sort of apply the crease. What I have previously used is the sort of only MAC eye one, full size eye one that I have, which is the 219 pencil brush. Obviously you can see there's quite a bit of a difference in the size. Much easier for travelling is the Sigma one. This is definitely not as dense as the MAC one. These are a lot softer. And they're not as finely sort of milled. And it's actually more pointy or more tapered than this one. This is a little bit more rounded, the MAC one. But funnily enough, I kind of thought I'd stick by the MAC one, but this one is just a little bit easier and more comfortable to sort of hold. This is actually quite long. I feel like I'm trying to paint a picture. And this is actually, they're still actually quite hard. I've washed this numerous times. Doesn't take much to wash it. I also spot clean it every single time that I use it, but it's actually still very, very dense, which I do like to sort of apply and not notice much fallout with this. Again, the bristles are white. Always going to notice stuff when they're black, fallout more, but haven't sort of noticed it. Yeah, and very, very nice to sort of apply. Now, last but not least is the foundation brush. I'll just do this very quickly. This is the F60 one. And again, I have plenty of foundation brushes. I've got Illamasqua, I've got Manicure, what else do I have? QVS. And it's just as good as any of those. This is very, very soft though, very, very sleek. And even though I've washed it several times now, it is still very, very sleek. I don't know if you can see that. Very, very soft. But yeah, just as good as applying this sort of foundation in your upward strokes to the face. I don't use liquid foundation that often. I like to use mousse. I don't find these types of, or these styles of foundation brushes very easy to apply. The mousse foundation being very soft and fluffy. I like to use the stippling brushes. Well, that's just my personal preference. But again, I didn't notice any fallout with the bristles when I washed it. I also didn't notice any bleeding with this one. My overall favourite out of the whole lot would probably be the Tapered Blending E40, only because I've got nothing really comparable to that. And my second favourite would be the concealer brush. Now, my overall thoughts after using it for a month now is it is a fairly good quality. The roll, I mean, it's obviously sort of synthetic. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I haven't had any issues with the pack or the clasp in the 4 weeks. Again, once I actually do travel with this, I will let you know if there are any issues, if again the clasp stopped working, any of these rip. These have been fine for sliding in and out of the brushes. I like the colour as well. That I could sort of mention, apart from the occasional bleeding and fallout that you get initially, is that price and weight. So like obviously quite a while to get that if you want to go the slow mail. I'm not very patient waiting with orders. I couldn't wait to try those ones, which like I said, I'll link below once I've posted that review. So when you sort of divide it by how many brushes that you get, it sort of works out a couple of dollars each. So overall thoughts, I'm really impressed with the quality of these 7 brushes and also obviously the additional 8th brush that you get.